Hello and welcome to My Mom's Basement and a very special 2-episode premiere edition of My Mom's Basement. Not that we're doing 2 episodes today, but we will be talking about 2 episodes of the newest Star Wars show, The Acolyte. Taking place 100 years before The Phantom Menace, we have never seen this era of Star Wars before. We heard a lot about it, before the show premiered. We talked about it last week, the glowing reviews online, the not so glowing reviews from Ken Jack. I think it fell somewhere in the middle for me. Clem, I don't know where it fell for you. How we doing?
Doing good. Very special. So this is a very special. Are you prepared to promise the listeners and viewers at home? Very special. I can live with
Very
special.
special.
Okay. All right.
Very
Stepping
special
the game
episode.
up. I'm
Honestly, a
locking in.
very special month of My Mom's Basement. This kind of kicks off My Mom's Basement month, June. We've got The Acolyte. We've got House of the Dragon coming back June 16th. We've got The Boys coming back. We've got a ton. So it's going to be crazy. It's going to be hectic. There's going to be a lot of people in the basement, a lot of bodies. You're going to have to be like, let me go find my seat. But trust me, your seat is saved.
All right. I'm going to do the Cam Newton meme then. Very special. Like, okay. Like you're dialed in now. Very special episode. And it's special because I went into this premiere, I guess, 2 episode, very concerned. Bob, trust tree. We're in the trust tree, right? Basement
Yep.
is the trust tree. I had a idea that if this was really bad, this series, we were going to do a movie recap along, kind of like we did with Boogie Nights, something you've never seen before, but something I love. And we would watch the movie together. And it would be kind of like, all right, we did Acolyte. This is a guy who has to cover the 2024 Mets on a podcast. So like we talked a lot of Knicks in the beginning of the season. We're going to be talking God knows what in August and September. You have to think of other ways to fill the content air. And I'm happy to tell you, I don't see a reason as of right now that we have to go movie way, because I'm very happy. I was very happy with the first two. Very happy. Yeah, I'm gonna say it. I was very happy with the first 2 episodes. What do you think about that, Bob?
Honestly, I'm surprised, but I'm not surprised because I think maybe we're on the same level here. Our worries skyrocketed when Ken Jack started sending us those texts last week about maybe it's like a CW Star Wars show,
Yeah.
low budget this, low budget that. I think my expectations hit the floor. And when I watched this, I was pretty pleasantly surprised. I've watched both episodes twice now, watched them when they premiered last night, watched them this morning again. I actually liked them even more this morning when I kind of knew the characters and knew where the story was going. The first time, it is a little all over the place. I think especially episode 1 with characters, planets, the editing, the pacing, everything about it. I was a little Mr. Krabs meme about it of like, all right, I'm down for this, but I don't really know what's happening or who this guy is. The second time I was kind of like, all right, I get the story. And I had to temper my expectations a little bit as well because it's not exactly the kind of show I thought it would be. I think The Acolyte
Yeah.
very clearly after 2 episodes is a show for young adults. It's like kind of a teen drama. It feels not like Degrassi or One Tree Hill, but maybe to make the Ken Jack CW point, maybe a little Riverdale-ish in that it's a teen drama about young adults, about them finding their place in this world and them growing up essentially. So looking at it through that lens, and especially after, George Lucas spent the week at Cannes Film Festival being like, Star Wars was for kids. That's what people don't understand. I was making the movies for kids. They're kids' movies. It's like, it's a kid show, maybe not like a little kid show, but it's a kid show, and it's pretty well done in that. Like I didn't have any scenes in the first 2 episodes that hit me like the Leia Flea chase scene. There was nothing where I was like, oh, that's embarrassing. I can't believe this is where Star Wars is going. The production value definitely looks a little lower than what we're expecting out of Star Wars, but not in an embarrassing way. Like you, I liked the first 2 episodes. I enjoyed myself.
Yeah, I'm happy with the way everything has gone, the way everything looks it's going. Kind of like you said with the young adult, it feels like, oh, I remember that was one of the things with Miss Marvel. I'm like, this show is clearly not written for me. I feel like I can get into this show for sure. That one, not nearly as much. So with that being said, like, it's like so far, this is the thing. The way the trailer looked versus the way the first 2 episodes looked, I'm happier with the episodes than the trailer. The trailer, I was just like, I just didn't think it was gonna be I don't know. Maybe it's going to end up being that kind of show, but the way the first two episodes were, I enjoy it. We're getting force shit. We're getting just crazy stuff. It kind of feels like a little Star Wars video gamey too. I don't know if
Yep.
you got any of those vibes. So I'm in right now, and I trust me. Again, trust tree. Hitting that play button for the first time. We've been through a lot here in the basement. I don't, and listen, it's a job. I'm not going to complain about my job. It's a fucking literal dream job. But I'm like, I just can't go through another bad Disney Plus series because it just takes my soul and just puts it in a blender. And I walked away by the end time I hit power at the end of episode 2. I was like, damn, let's rock. I'm like interested to see what happens next. So all in all, thumbs up from the basement boys so far.
Yeah. And what we've heard is that these are the slowest, worst episodes out of the screeners, at least. You know, the people that got screeners saw the first
Yeah.
4. Everyone said it just keeps getting better as it goes along. If that is the case for the rest of the show, we're in good hands. I feel good about this. And I already am dreading the discourse. I'm not going to lie about what this show is going to bring. I've already seen people say, you know, I have no idea how you could even withstand watching this. Disney's ruined and wokeified Star. You know, the talking points that come up every single time with Star Wars. I am dreading that. I'm not going to lie. And I'm dreading the people that are going to say, we're just acting positive to act positive because people are shitting on it. This is our genuine thoughts on the Acolyte. It's not Andor. It's not the Mandalorian. We're not like, this is awesome. Star Wars is back. But it's just like, this is okay. This is nowhere near as bad as we were preparing for. This is kind of enjoyable. It's, again, a lower budget Star Wars show. It's almost like if Star Wars had like a Star Trek budget. Like I would expect like a Star Trek show to look and feel like this. Is the dialogue great? Not really. Is the characters? We don't have like a character yet where I'm like, he's my fucking guy. I love that guy. We'll get there though. It's 2 episodes, 30 minutes. As for just a start, a kickoff, I think they did a very good job. I would rate my enjoyment out of this, honestly, like a 7 out of 10, which I really didn't expect.
Ball scale, please. We use the ball scale around these parts.
sorry, the ball scale, like 3.5 is that?
Yeah, I'll say like 3.7 for me, which again is higher than I thought. This is the thing. I actually think the lower budget helps it because there were times with Star Wars, some of the properties, where it would be like it was like watching a piece of shit get lit on fire, but inside like a golden chalice, crusted with diamonds. It like looked too good for the content being so bad, right? So it's like if you just have kind of a little bit of the flaws you do with a lot of shows, but it has the Star Wars universe, the Star Wars, you know, lightsabers and the ticks and all that kind of stuff with the aliens. I think it could work. And listen, Andor, the first 3 episodes, I was like sleeping during them. So it's like it didn't become Andor till, you know, the jailbreak scene and all that other kind of stuff. And our fucking boy just dropping lines. What's our guy's name again?
Andy Serkis, was it him? Or
no,
Luthen.
Skarsgård.
Luthen.
Luthen just dropping fucking bombs on people, lyrical bombs. He bombs atomically. So I don't know, man. And as for the discourse, I was going this way ever since, like, I think Rise of Skywalker. After Last Jedi was a full-blown civil war between Star Wars fans. I think Rise of Skywalker, everyone was just like, it's when you realize you're in war with each other and there's no one's wins the war. It was one of those things. I don't care anymore. I don't. I saw that someone said that there's like a review bomb going on with Rotten Tomatoes. I go on Twitter probably 10% as much as I did probably like 3 or 4 years ago. I just don't care anymore. The internet is going to be negative. They're going to just be, it's who they are. You just have to kind of find your little cult kind of and just have fun with each other there. There's a diehard Star Wars people who are going to love everything. There's a diehard haters who are going to hate everything. Find the people that kind of fit into you. We're kind of in the Barstool cult. And it's like, I think there's a good mix of people here that can be relatively rational in 2024. That's all you can ask for, man. That's how I see the internet as a whole right now. I'm seeing things, Bob. I'm like,
I was gonna say that's peaceful, that's serene, that's very Jedi-like. I mean, you're that Jedi in episode 2 that's just fucking sitting there silently, and it's like, yeah, you can't phase him. He's just sitting there.
I mean, I lose a little bit of weight in some inches and height. I could be like, you know, the white boy Yoda right here because that's how I'm feeling right now. I'm just feeling peaceful. Serene.
Oh, that's a new nickname. Man. Oh, that's a good nickname. The white boy Yoda, Clem. The white boy
There's
Yoda.
Our hashtag. Hashtag for the day, white boy Yoda.
White boy Yoda. That's good. Yoda, by the way, very much alive and leading the Jedi Council at the time of the Acolyte. So we know we're 100 years prior to the Phantom Menace. We're not going to see a lot of the characters that we could potentially see pop up. But if they show us the Jedi Council at any point, I think they're going to have to show us Yoda, unless they're like, he's in the bathroom or he's in the shower. Like, come on.
That would be funny if it was a running bit where it's like Yoda's never there, but you see his
That
seat
would
is
be
empty.
good.
It has his little nameplate, and they're like, ah, he's had to see about a girl, and he's taking a dump. That would be so funny. Your Yoda thing triggered something in my mind too. Last night, again, I'm telling you, I was very like worried about how this was going to go. I watched the Darth Vader Rogue One scene and like a bunch of Baby Yoda like highlight clips and then like even user created stuff just to kind of get me in like a good Star Wars mood leading into this. And I'd even watched this last night when it debuted at 9 o'clock. I was tired and I was like, listen, I don't want to go into this tired and grumpy because this is, and I came in fresh. Maybe that's it. Maybe the 3 a.m. releases and like staying up and late. Maybe that's what, maybe everything we've been watching was actually a gem. It turns out. So I'm happy to hear this. I hope have you gotten a vibe from the listeners right now? How everyone else is feeling?
I've seen some pretty positive stuff, to be honest, on Twitter. Like I said, there's the occasional, like, I'll get a tweet like, you're lying about liking this. It's woke. It's Disney-fied. They ruined everything. There's no white people in it. And then I'll click on their profile and they don't even follow me. So it's they're
Mhm.
finding my tweets through the hashtag. It seems like a lot of the people that follow us and follow the podcast, I think they all have a pretty similar vibe to us. And that it's not like, oh my God, this is amazing, The Mandalorian. But it's just like, oh, okay, this could be good. And it's the way the show is structured too, and the mystery and the way it unravels, it almost has to have that vibe. You know, it's not going to kick the door down with an amazing premiere. It's just slowly giving us peeks at the mystery, which is intriguing. I'm like, I don't really know where it's going. The first episode, the twist, well, let's just get into it
Yeah, let's
before
get
we,
into it.
episode one, we get a crawl right away, which I enjoyed. We talked about a crawl last week. We were like, why don't they just do crawls? They give us a little crawl here, and the whole crawl reads 100 years before the rise of the Empire. It is a time of peace. The Jedi Order and the Galactic Republic have prospered for centuries without war, but in the dark corners of the galaxy, a powerful few learn to use the Force in secret. One of them, a lone assassin, risks discovery to seek revenge. A good crawl, I got to be honest. It's a very brief crawl, 3 sentences or 4 sentences, whatever. But that made me excited. That gave me the vibe of like, oh shit, this is Star Wars. It's feeling Star Warsy.
So two things on that. One, the Star Wars blue is an underrated part of the universe, and I love that goddamn. I don't even know what it is. It's fucking. I mean, I'm sure that idiot Ravel has like the Padalone or whatever the fuck they call it, but that
Pantone,
blue
yeah,
is
the Padawan. You
fire.
made it a Padawan.
Padalone. And the other thing is, a lot of people are saying, oh, 100 years before the rise of the Empire, that's 100 years before Phantom Menace. But then other people are saying 100 years before Sith, because that's when the Empire really, oh, Galactic Empire. So, how funny would it have been, by the way, if it said, like, the Emperor is born? I can't say the P word.
Somehow.
Somehow, Palpatine.
Yeah.
Palpatine. Did I say
Yeah.
it? Yes, I said it. Oh, it's all coming up
I
Star Wars.
told you guys this would be a very special episode.
This is a very special episode. The white boy Yoda actually said the Emperor's name correctly.
That's my favorite nickname, the white boy Yoda. Oh, that's good. That's good. And we begin on a planet called Yuda with an assassin. And we learned his name is May, looking for a Jedi. This is the scene that I talked about being the post-credit scene. If you saw the Phantom Menace, it's the entire, probably the first 4 minutes of the episode, which I didn't realize it would kick things off, but it was cool. The Jedi is Carrie-Anne Moss from The Matrix, Trinity herself. She's playing a Jedi named Master Indara, who I swear to God, I was under the impression was the main character of this show, and I was stoked about it. Everyone that would listen, I'd be like, "There's going to be a new Star Wars show with Trinity from The Matrix." That was how I was selling this show to people. Oh man, I regret that after watching this scene. May walks up to her. She's like, "We've got unfinished business." She wants her to attack. May wants the Jedi to attack her first. They get into this big fight. Felt very Matrix influenced in its like martial
Yeah.
arts style, the way they pop up to the balcony and they're pushing each other back and stuff. Very cool. May eventually kills Indara by threatening the bartender with a knife and then throwing the knife through her chest. My big note on this was, thank God a knife to the heart actually killed her, because Star
Yes.
Wars has actually like trained me in a bad direction now, where I saw the knife to the heart and I was like, please don't tell me she survives that and she's totally fine in the next episode, even though I wanted her to be the main character of this show. And it seems that maybe she'll be in it for 4 minutes if we don't get a flashback at some point.
Yeah, that fight was awesome. It was So I see this and I'm like, right off the bat, I'm like, oh fuck, this is the fourth show we were hoping for. We're getting Jedi, but we're not hitting the same old beats. It's kind of a little different. And I don't I imagine the Sith doesn't have like PowerPoints and meetings and whatever, but it does feel like attacking an innocent person to get the Jedi's guard down is kind of the way to kill a Jedi. I was like, that was very smart. I appreciated that she did that. I also was very surprised we just lost Trinity just like that. What there was a movie, I mean, shoot, it probably wasn't even that recent. It was probably 15, 20 years ago now at this point, where it was like, I think it was like a Matt Damon movie or something. And you think Matt Damon's in it and he dies in like the first 5 minutes. There's a,
I think
you
I
know what I'm
might
talking
know
about?
exactly what you're talking about. Is it Bryan Cranston in the first Godzilla?
No, I've heard about that
Because
one though.
that one is crazy, dude. He's in all the trailers, and he's in the movie for 10 minutes, maybe. And he's good in the movie, but he plays like the mad scientist who nobody believes for decades, and then, he shows up or whatever. Maybe there was a Matt Damon. Matt Damon is one of those weird cameo guys. He loves making a quick cameo in a weird movie.
let's see here. I'm gonna look 60 movies that killed off the major stars shockingly early. I'm
Scream
gonna
is, the big one, I feel like.
yeah, Scream is up there. I'm gonna say it with I'm gonna like if I say the I don't want to like give stuff away here. I see
This is
Bryan
like a
Cranston
spoiler.
is on this list just in case there's a spoiler for like 10, 20-year-old movies. Um and nothing here. I mean, Scream might have been what I was thinking of. Maybe I thought of
Yeah.
Scream because there wasn't so much of I will just say Drew Barrymore. So I don't think we have to hide that anymore. But yeah, there's some big ones there.
Very cool fight to kick the show off, though. It actually reminded me a little bit as well of the fight from the beginning of Shang-Chi. Do you remember when, is it his parents are fighting, or there's like a real martial artsy fight in the beginning of that where they're using the leaves with it and everything. And like you said,
Yeah.
it's not just hitting the same, we're whipping out lightsabers right away and we're doing the exact same thing you're used to. It gives us a little different look. That's what I liked about Ahsoka when they said we're gonna let Ezra be like the martial arts force Jedi. It's like, oh shit, it makes sense. If there's thousands of Jedi, especially at this point when the Jedi are at their peak, probably don't all fight the exact same way in the exact same style. So I like that. I honestly like the look of the entire planet. A lot of the planets in this so far. It was one of the things that I don't think Ken Jack loved about the show, the look of the show. I saw some people saying it felt low budget, but it never felt not Star Warsy to me. Every planet that they visit, even the marketplace like planet in the second episode, I was like, yeah, this feels like it would fit in any of the other Star Wars shows we watch. I could see the Mandalorian or Obi-Wan appearing on these planets.
Brother. I mean, I've made this point a million times. This show would have taken place solely on Tatooine if it was made like 3 years ago. I'm just so happy we're going. Even like you said, it's a little choppy how we're going from one planet to the other. It's fun just going to like cool different planets that might have some weird shit, like some weird plants are just like popping fucking pollen or whatever. I don't know.
Hmm.
Like I just like you could do anything in the world you want. You're making this entire universe, galaxy, whatever you want to call it up. It's such like a they drop the ball with that so many times, I think, in Star Wars, where I think when you play the video games and stuff, sometimes you go to different places like, oh shit, this place is pretty cool. So I'm happy we're not like going to Tatooine, going to Hoth again. It's like, why are we in Hoth? This is it was a nobody part of planet that was in like the greatest movie of them all. So I love it.
And it also helps when they put the planet on the screen. I love that every single
Oh,
time.
need it.
And it helps when you're going to all these different planets we haven't seen. When you actually put Coruscant on there and you show us the Jedi Temple, it provokes that, like, oh, we know that one. Cool. And it, makes us feel cool about a planet that had some horrific things happen about 100 years later. Um,
I also like seeing Coruscant, like you can see they're building it up, right? You
mhm.
know, there
Yep.
it's like it's kind of like seeing like New York City in the 1920s. You're like, holy shit,
It's
I
got like
kind of see
warmer
how it is.
colors,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
It's a little
exactly.
warmer than it is, a little more New York City-ish in the prequels.
And
Um,
I do think in Star Wars and all the properties, if you're gonna use one planet that's like the like very the axis, like the heliocentric, like you're revolving around it. Let it be Coruscant. That makes a lot more sense than Tatooine, that is like known for not having anything. Coruscant could be the place where everything kind of starts and ends, and I think that makes perfect sense. So, as much as I love going to different planets, I'm fine with that being the one planet that is going to be like a focus, because obviously it's a very important planet in the galaxy.
Now, let me ask you this. Then the very next scene, after you get like the Acolyte title card or whatever, we meet Osha, who is May's twin. She's on the ship, the Republic ship, her droid Pip. We meet the droid. I love that little pocket droid. That thing's awesome. Did you were you the same as me? I mean, the second they show Osha, I'm like, okay, that must be your twin. Like, there was no part of me that thought that was her. And I think they revealed it in the trailer at some point or a poster or something. I think I knew going in that this was a twin. So when they tried to do like almost a twist mid-episode, that did not hit for me.
Had no clue. Had no clue.
Okay.
Uh, when I saw it, I go, murderer, you're bad. Why do you seem so nice now? Because you seem so bad. But you just killed that innocent Jedi, beloved Trinity. Her lightsaber was green. That means she's really, really good.
Yeah.
If she has a green lightsaber, right? So yeah, I did. At least for me, completely didn't see it coming. I
Okay.
imagine I consumed a lot less like pre episode content than you did getting ready for this.
Yeah. So we meet her. She works on a Republic ship as a mechanic, which basically means she's doing the work of an astromech droid. She's walking out with like space boots on the side of a ship, repairing shield generators, stuff like that. And she's even saying, I liked the line where she's like, this is weird. Like the Trade Republic never uses shield generators. And they're like, maybe that's why we got to repair them. It's like, well, the trade routes are about to get closed down, and maybe not in your lifetime, but it's about to become war out here. And we see the Nemodians from episode 1, The Phantom Menace, no longer racist. They do not do just like very kind of racist Asian voices anymore. They have different voices, which is good. And as soon as Osha sees nightmares, or as soon as she sees Flame, she has nightmares, which indicate her backstory, which we're going to learn a little later. But yeah, Nemodians, seeing them, prequel vibes for sure from the whole show. Not, were they bad prequel vibes for you? Like, did you get the feeling of like,
Oh,
uh
I was triggered. I
oh,
said, well, that was a good opening scene here, but if this is the path we're going towards, and I was ready to go and look for my old like accounting and finance textbooks from college so that I knew what the fuck they were talking about if we were going to get into trade embargoes and shit like that. So I was like, oh, if we're going to be doing taxes here in Star Wars land again, very happy that like I if it wasn't those guys because it was like welcome to the Phantom Menace. You've been waiting for this for years. These fucking guys are going to ruin the movie instantly. Don't worry though. There's going to be 100 other things you're going to hate about it. Luckily, they got him off the screen and everything ended up just being okay. So I was fine by that. But I have to admit, I imagine myself and I know other people around my age that feel the similar way about the Phantom Menace were probably just like, oh, God damn it.
and a Jedi ship arrives. It's a guy named Yord Fandar, just the most Star Warsy name, and his
Most Star
Padawan
Wars.
Tassi Lawa. They're looking for Osha, and they get it out of the Nemodian consensually. He's like, "Thank you for like giving me that with free will." He uses quotes at some point and made me be like, "Yep, another one where it's like the Jedi are kind of dicks, especially at this point. They're feeling themselves a little bit too much."
They're the
And when
cops. They're the cops of the
they
galaxy.
are. They're the cops, and they're like not going by the book necessarily. I don't think they are, at least. Some people, like we meet the head, the green lady later on. I wrote her name down
Yeah.
later.
She's
She
Green
seems
Lady. That's
like
her name.
she seems like she's trying to get people to go by the books, and everyone's kind of like doing their own thing. But Yord and Osha, clearly old pals. Old pals. He's super serious. We learn a little bit more about her journey with the Jedi. She was taken in when she was 8 years old. She left the Jedi Order 6 years ago, lost her whole family in a fire, and that's when she got brought in. And then they bring in an eyewitness from the bar who's like, "Yep, that's her." And they're like, "I'm sorry, I can believe you, but we have an eyewitness, so we have to arrest you." They take her back to the ship and they put her in prison where she sees like a prisoner with a parasite on his face. All the prisoners are like planning an escape on their own, trying to get her into it. I liked the parasite face thing. It reminded me of Rogue One when they go to the prison and they see like Borgala, the big fucking octopus, like getting the truth out of people. It's nice to know that Star Wars has some weird, scary shit going on in their prisons.
That was something else that I made a note of. I said that's the kind of stuff you could do when you're in the Star Wars galaxy, and you can just think of weird ways to inflict torture on people, or just have these weird creatures that can help you out. I love that as well. I'm like, all right, we got like a little bit of a winning streak going. It's like a what is it called in video games? It's like you get the combo breaker or whatever. Like we're
Oh
almost full
yeah.
at the bar at this point in my mind.
Back at the Jedi Temple on Coruscant, we see who I've written down as Jedi Master Squid Game teaching a class. He is actually named Jedi Master Soul, but it is the actor from Squid Game. And he's interrupted by Master Vernestra. This is the woman I referred to earlier. Green skin, and she seems like she's not Yoda, but she's kind of the head of the Jedi Order in some way here, because she's also, I think, much older than Soul. She's like, I remember when you were that little. It's like, oh shit, how old does that make you then? Interesting. And Soul clearly liked Osha. He does not believe that she killed Jedi Master Indara. So he's pushing back on it a little bit, but clearly now in the mystery, in the case study. And Osha's ship crashes as soon as the prison break happens. She tries to save the guy with the parasite, being a nice person. He abandons her right away. Classic Star Warsy thing there. And the ship crash lands. People were shitting on this scene, to be honest. They were like, lazy writing. Ship just lands and she's fine. This is the sort of thing that if we're going to do Star Wars TV shows, it's not that you have to have stuff like this happen, but like shit like this happens in the Star Wars cartoons every week. It's something that I don't really bat an eye at, to be honest.
Like, okay, they can just ride her, have her escape an pod that is stuck, but then she gets it off last second, and she still kind of crash lands. It's like, what are we doing here? But just
Yeah.
take it.
She
I
seatbelted. I saw her put her fucking seatbelt on. That's enough for me.
I'm not getting like I even saw the thing where it's like, why would you have droids just transport your Jedi killer, former Jedi to the place? And it's like, I understand that too. And then the droids could just be killed by some fucking cyborg. It's like, that's fair too. But I cannot break this down anymore. I've done it too many times, too many ways, with too many different franchises. I'm just gonna sit back, relax, and enjoy the ride. And like, it is what it is. I was fine with it. Now, if they had landed on that planet and she saw either a Tauntaun or the Abominable Snowman from Empire, I would have been like, what are we doing? Why are we're 100 years back? I appreciated we went a different direction. So I was actually very happy with it all.
And then we meet X-23 from Logan. Her character in this is Jecki. I forget what the actual actress's name is, but the girl that plays X-23 in Logan, I hesitate to say all grown up because she's still like a teenager in this. But she's an alien. She's a cool looking alien too, with the like orange kind of wings on her eyes. And she appears to be Soul's Padawan. The Jedi all have the prisoners already, the ones that escaped, and they're able to find out like, yeah, Osha was trying to save the one, and he betrayed her and everything. He wants to go to Karlak, where she crash landed, to find her himself, and he convinces Vernestra to let him go with a small team. This scene was a little like Obi-Wan esque in that he's like, let me go to Karlak. And she's like, no. And he's like, please. And she's like, okay, small team. He's like, well, that didn't take much convincing, did it?
Oh God.
We're going to get a lot of that in this show. I think on a 30-minute young adult teen drama show, I think they're going to have a lot of conversations like that where they show like, I don't want to let you go, but we don't have the time for an argument on this show.
Osha's guilty, but it was her twin. Her twin's dead. No, it was her twin. Okay, I believe you. It's like,
That
what?
too. That was tough in episode 2 when she really just doesn't believe, and Soul's like, I believe, and she's like, well, if you say so.
I,
It's
can't,
like, oh,
I,
come on.
I don't know if I'm just getting easier in my old age, or there's something different about this series so far. But I'm just gonna stop trying to find it. It's like you said, we're in Star Wars. If that's the least believable thing. But then I come back to the bombs being dropped in Last Jedi and how it all went down and the gravity. I'm not even getting into it. So
But
keep
the
moving
bombs
on.
had propellers. They shot
Just keep
down. They
going,
weren't
Bob.
dropped. They were
Keep
all right.
going,
We're
Bob.
gonna keep moving on. We're just gonna
Keep
keep going.
going.
We're gonna push through that very
I'm in the
special
light
episode of
right
My
now.
Mom's
I'm
Basement.
I'm I'm in the light. I'm in the light. Don't bring me to the dark side again.
But it does play to the point we made earlier, where I think everyone would enjoy the show more if they grade it on a curve almost. Grade it on a young adult scale. I think it will give all the listeners out there a little bit more enjoyment. Don't compare this to Andor. Compare it to the prequels.
I mean, in that case, I think I have my new favorite prequel.
So Soul, Jecki, and Yord plan their descent. This one scene, it was my least favorite scene in both episodes. When they walk in on a shirtless, jacked Yord and they play it like, ooh, like this is the scene for young girls to be like, look at him. She's like, would you put a shirt on? And like, maybe I'm a hypocrite because I like the scene in The Last Jedi where they force connect and Kylo Ren is sitting there all fucking Kylo
Yeah.
bulky. And I think that's funny. But this version of it, I was just like, oh, I'm gonna pretend that scene didn't happen. Move on.
I could not. You know what? Maybe it blows up in my face. I could not be more out on this Yord guy. I
I
fucking
think I'm out on him
loathe him.
too. I
I
think he
I
stinks.
imagine you're supposed to not like him, and maybe like he's gonna be the guy you're like, oh man, he was a good guy all along. Fuck Yord. Saul is my guy. And listen, if Saul ends up being like Sith, then I guess I'm a Sith fucking fan. I don't know what to tell you. I loved him in Squid Games, and I love him in this. That dude just has a face that just puts your soul at ease. I saw a lot of
Puts
comparisons.
your soul at ease.
Oh, look at that. That's how they probably named him. They're like, we need a guy who'll put everyone's soul at ease. There you go. I saw a lot of people comparing him to a certain older Jedi played by Liam Neeson back in the day,
I was
Bob.
gonna say that's who he reminded me of. And I saw people shitting on his performance too because they were like, he can't even speak English. And it's like, but like he's speaking the exact stoic lines that Liam Neeson spoke as Qui-Gon. Like it was so similar to me. There was absolutely no issue for me with the language barrier because I'm like, that's how the fucking Jedi of the prequel talked in that crazy stoic monotone voice. He was perfect for me. He might be my favorite character in the show as well.
Bob, if I don't know where you saw these people, but if they're on Twitter, you send them to me and I'm gonna just DM them just lewd shit that can get me banned from the platform. I don't
I
care
think Rolling
anymore.
Stone, I think they were the
Oh,
ones that were like, he's
perfect.
like maybe the worst part of the show. And Rolling Stone at this point, I mean,
What do I? I
what are
guess
they?
I'll write them snail mail. Right?
Yeah.
Like, what do I do with Rolling Stone? Get upset at that. Fuck them. Great magazine back in the day. Don't get me wrong. And that some of those covers put me, maybe from a boy to a man. But fuck, like, what are we doing here, Rolling Stone?
So OSHA sees this like young girl walking away from her in the ship, the crash landed ship. It's a young version of her sister May, and she's brought to like Brendock. She's like, Brendock looks around. I assume it's their home. She says, you're with me, I'm with you, always together, but born as two. So she has this thing that they remember from childhood. OSHA says to May, did you kill Indara? And she says, yes, and I will kill them all. OSHA wakes up. She's like, what the fuck? It's all like she doesn't even know if May's alive at this point. She thinks her sister's been dead since childhood. And then Soul explains their backstory to his Padawan. Sorry, Faith is like going gremlin mode over there. Soul explains the backstory. It's Kane and the Undertaker. It's literally Kane and the Undertaker. One
Yes.
burnt down the house. The whole family is dead. Whatever. You think the brothers not survived, but oh my god, they did survive. May is Kane. OSHA is the Undertaker. Jackie and Yord immediately, and I mean immediately, know what's up. They're like, oh, she had a twin, so it must have been her twin. And Soul, the one who is telling the story, is like, nah, couldn't have been. I saw the twin die. It's like, no, but your Padawan saw through it right away, dude. This is why the Jedi failed. You guys are idiots.
I love my guy Saul. He still has like some cobwebs on the like the Jedi just have a thin layer of liquid on their brain, and it just allows
Yeah.
them not to see the most obvious thing. I mean, the Emperor came back 17 times on their asses. They just get fucking figure that guy out, even though he's an old man with like not nearly the amount of power of all of them combined. So that's a tough look for us. I have to also admit, so like when they're doing the twin thing, and there was like it almost looked like snow, right? It might have been ash
Mhm.
coming down from the fire, but it looked like snow. Bob, I got True Detective, whatever this last season was, vibes from it. Jodie Foster.
Night
I got
Country, yeah.
so fucking angry. I blocked that show out of my head. I was so mad. I was like, I think I'm out on Acolyte just for reminding me of True Detective. I
I
did
didn't
a
hate that
lot.
show, but it is astonishing how quickly it's out of my head.
I I liked the beginning of it when I thought there was a mystery, and then by the end, like there's nothing here. And I watched like the last three episodes and be like, they're not going to give me anything that I want, and they basically didn't. Oh, I hate that show. I'm sorry. Moving on. This show better than the last season of True Detective. So good work on. We're starting. We got baby steps here in the Star Wars galaxy.
They corner OSHA on the edge of a cliff, and she does the classic, oh, falls off the edge, and Soul saves her, and she's all like horizontal. And when she is like, May's alive, immediately he goes, I believe you. And if I were Jackie or Yord, where 5 minutes ago he was denying the shit out of me on the ship, I'd be like, what the fuck? Just because she said it, just because she had a vision, just because she crash landed, she's probably got a concussion. She doesn't even know what she's talking about, and you're believing her over us, your students. I would be pissed about that. But the end of the episode, pretty badass. And if I say so myself, pretty fucking metal. May walks up to this shadowy figure and he's talking in Sith talk. He is straight up,
Oh, hard to talk.
like mean words coming out of this guy's mouth. He says, the Jedi live in a dream they believe everyone shares. And he's talking about killing with weapons and blah, 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 not killing with it. He says, an acolyte kills without a weapon. An acolyte kills the dream. Boom. Badass line to end the first episode. And in a mystery show, a great cliffhanger for like, well, what the fuck? And people are going to roll their eyes when I say this. I know people are going to roll their eyes. But when I see this shadowy figure in the mask, the pictures, the high quality pictures, almost looks like he's got teeth on the mask. It looks creepy. I think this would be a fucking cool show to introduce the Knights of Ren and do a real origin story for it. And I know people roll their eyes because we wanted that in The Force Awakens. We didn't get it. We wanted it in The Last Jedi. We didn't get it. We wanted it in Rise of Skywalker. We didn't get it. So now it's like, oh, yeah, I'm sure they'll explain the Knights of Ren in this one. But like maybe they could show a slight difference in this between the Knights of Ren and the Sith. And this show can be about how the Sith defeated the Knights of Ren or became something. And then the Knights of Ren, 150, 200 years later had to come up with Kylo or something like that. I don't know. I don't think this is going to be a Knight of Ren, but it's just a fun fan theory I had.
As the casual Star Wars fan of the group, and I'm going to speak to all my fellow casuals out there. Don't worry, guys. Barely knew what Robbie was talking about. I know the Knights of Ren are a thing. I thought they were a thing that Kylo Ren started up. Turns out they're kind of like maybe another faction of the dark side.
I think
Is
so.
that fair to say?
I think we know stuff from maybe like there's comic books or something, but when they write comics and say that they're canon, sometimes they'll just do a movie or a TV show or an animated thing and be like, it's not canon anymore, retconned.
Gotcha. Like you said though, if Acolyte was replaced with a different word that was much more, and this was a more mainstream show, that's something you could put on Twitter. Kill the dream. Like that's probably what they say to you at the end of the first meeting, where you're like, all right, now listen, you have to like fill out the form and give us, give us a $250 check, and they're like, we killed the dream, and you're like, fuck it, I'm in. Like that is such a good way to just get that person's membership money. I might start using that for something. Like I'm trying to think, like, what do my kids do? AJ's and Boy Scouts be like, we're here to kill the dream.
Let me tell everyone about the PFL, the Professional Fighters League. The second half of the PFL regular season kicks off Thursday, June 13th, live from the Mohegan Sun in Connecticut. Myself and Big Ev will be there, I believe. As of right now, we're gonna be in the building next Thursday, June 13th. You've got Valentin Moldovsky versus Linton Vassell. They meet in their trilogy match. Dangerous Dakota Dacheva takes on Chelsea Hackett in a clash of women's flyweights. Don't miss the action. Thursday, June 13th at 9 p.m. Eastern on ESPN and ESPN Plus. It's awesome. PFL doing Wednesday, sometimes Thursday events are great because you don't have any other fights on that night. So it's only the PFL. Don't miss the action. Again, Thursday, June 13th, 9 p.m. Eastern, ESPN and ESPN Plus. And for those looking to attend in person, tickets are available on Ticketmaster. Tickets are pretty cheap. I think you can get tickets for this up to the time the fights pretty much start. Again, tune in on Thursday, June 13th, 9 p.m. Eastern, ESPN and ESPN Plus. Shout out to the PFL. And now episode 2. We could get right into episode 2. I was glad that they did a 2-episode premiere as well. I think we would have been not underwhelmed with just the first, but maybe a little bit. I think we would have had less of this kind of mindset of like, oh shit, this is interesting. Let's see where the mystery goes, and more of a skepticism. Do you agree?
We would have had a feeling of whelming. That's what we have. We would have been overwhelmed,
Yeah.
but we would not have been underwhelmed. We would have been right whelmed. And again, if it had started the way Andor started, I probably would be like, fuck, I think I'm out on this. But that gave me enough, like, it's also the mystery too. It's a good mystery so far in terms of just a mystery show. And I'm sure there's people who don't like the whole twin twist. I guess for those of us that it was a twist for, Bob was like, yeah, I fucking could have told you that from the jump. It was a little different. I know for a fact they're going to pull the twin double switch on me at some point, and my radar will not be up for that moment. It's been up ever since I learned was a twin. I know I'm going to fall for the old twin gag when it's the biggest moment. I fucking know. I'm so mad. I'm pretty mad about
it. So we begin this episode on a planet called Olega at a local Jedi temple. I also like the idea of a local Jedi temple. Like they have little like embassies or whatever on different planets. May gets in shockingly easily with the help of a little kid. Like a little kid is basically like, "Hey, look over here," and May just walks into the Jedi Temple. That I was like, okay, another one where it's when you see issues like that in the Jedi in these shows, it's not a plot hole. You can't be like they suck because it's like, yeah, no, duh, that's the point. They failed in the end. So it's like, but why'd she get in so easy? It's 100 years. They were surviving for 100 years before the Phantom Menace with security like that. They didn't have any ring doorbell. Like they had a ring doorbell, it wasn't working. I don't know. I
I
see
feel
that and I'm like, ugh.
I mean, it's like if you want to like, and granted, it's different where it's a Jedi temple versus like a church. But if you wanted to rob a church, you probably could because it'd be like
That's a
you
good
should
point.
never lock your doors to the church because
Keepers of the peace.
the
Yeah.
heart of God is open for everyone and we cannot turn anyone away. And then someone was like, "I want to go rob that church," would be like, "I'm going to go rob that." You know, maybe actually, if I need a few bucks, I know where I can get a few bucks. I just go to
Yeah,
this
that
local
basket.
church.
They passed that basket around.
Exactly. So
Um,
I can't even get mad. That never even crossed my mind. I wasn't even upset about that at all.
she approaches Master Torben, who is from Game of Thrones, actually. Joffrey's younger brother, I believe. Tommen?
Oh shit! Really? It's Tommen?
I think it's Tommen with a bad beard. In the words of MGK, you got a weird beard. I think he said that to
Weird
Eminem.
beard, man.
As soon as I saw this guy, I was like, he's got a weird beard, not a great one. But she's constantly trying to get these Jedi to attack her first. She's like, attack me with all your strength. And he's kind of just sitting there doing nothing, Doctor Strange-esque. And she's talking about unfinished business with all of them. She goes, we have unfinished business. So I think this is coming through her acolyte. I think she's like the avatar for that guy in the black mask. I think he's got a history with all of them, and she's brainwashed a little bit. Maybe a Dathomirian witch situation. But she can't even get through to she can't even attack him. He's sitting there still, and there's nothing she could do because he's that strong, I guess, with the Force.
I thought that was another cool twist with the
Yeah,
Force, where it's like I've never seen. I don't know if you've seen anything like this, but I personally never seen it where dude's just chilling, meditating, and you just fucking can't break it.
he's
It's a
like the
little
Hare
force
Krishna,
field.
like George Harrison type guy. Yeah.
When you think about it, force field doesn't really make sense as a word, but when it's the force field, it makes perfect sense. And yes, this is Tommen from Game of Thrones. I had no fucking clue. Bob, Tommen's like a legit dude. You know, he's the guy
I
who
know he
jumps out
grew
the
up.
window.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just like he grew up and he like kind of went rickety cricket on us. Like he's a little scarred up and beat up a little
Yeah.
bit. So and he's meditating all the time. His eyes are closed. He's in 1917 too, which I didn't remember.
Yeah. Great movie. Great
Great.
movie. Did you see
I
that?
actually I almost threw it on for a rewatch. I watched it in the theater. It's one of those movies that is better in the theater. And
Yeah.
it was potentially going to go on the list here for movies. You want to know what the first movie was
Oh,
going to be?
really? Yeah.
So listen to this. The first movie, I've had this on here for 2 weeks, and it just happened to come up yesterday on social media in Barstool. Something About Mary. Have you ever seen Something About Mary?
No. So I've seen bits and pieces of it, but never the full movie. I believe Grandma Fox put that on for the kids at one point, and it quickly got to like, no, 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 no. Grandma, this is not a fun comedy for the kids.
Not a
Yeah.
rom com, in my humble opinion. It is much a com, very much
I
a
couldn't, yeah, I couldn't
comedy.
join that argument because I didn't know where I would fall on that.
All right, we are going to watch There's Something About Mary when the fucking nonstop content factory of the basement closes. We do not have time right now, and this looks like it's going to be good enough. But yeah, so Something About Mary, 1917. I don't know if we could really do it's just a really good movie. Very much highly recommend everyone out there.
And another Game of Thrones guy is in it too. Rob Stark is at the end, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, that's right.
He's the guy's
Yes.
brother, right? They're like, oh, your brother, yeah. Great movie. See 1917 if you haven't. Sam Mendes movie. He's the guy making the new. He's making like 4 Beatles biopics at the exact same time.
Oh, that's good. Okay, I feel good about those now.
So Osha starts to gain some trust with Jackie. She's teaching her a little bit about the ship, things that she knows about it. Sol and Yord discuss the twin theory and them working together potentially, or the twins working together against us. Vernestra, the green woman, she's starting to believe Sol, but not completely there yet. And May makes her way through the Olega marketplace. I loved this scene, just seeing all of the weird, like, characters, aliens, creatures in this marketplace. And this is the exact kind of scene where I was like, if I ever make a cameo in a Star Wars show, that's the kind of scene where I just want to walk through the background and be able to say, yep, that's me in canon. That's Robert Fuxing Kyo. I don't know. Like that sounds like I'm a magician or something, but yeah, you know what I mean.
I kind of feel like a little Galaxy's Edge in there, like the little corridors you go between
Yes,
when you're
it,
going to like
yeah,
the
it felt
food
like that.
stands, right? Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, it's a cool marketplace, and it didn't feel like the one on Navarro. It didn't feel like the one on Mos Eisley. It felt unique.
Yes, agreed, 100%, 100%. And the way you just navigated all those names and places, incredible, incredible. That's an old Star Wars fan right there. There's probably like three
I keeps it
A's in
up my
some of the
sleeve.
names.
So she meets up. May meets up with someone named Kamir who is working with her. He kind of looks like Ezra Miller a little bit. When I saw him, he's got like I think he's got the beard that Ezra had when he was like holding babies hostage and stuff. So I couldn't get that out of my head. But she needs a poison to kill a Jedi, and he gives her this absolution poison. They also have this conversation about you got to please him, you got to kill without a weapon. So there's something. I don't know if it's
Bingo
a
board. It's a
religious
bingo
thing.
board. It's
It
the
is a
bingo board.
bingo board, yeah, with the Acolyte, where it's like you got to kill these four Jedi. One's got to be without a weapon. One's got to be like this. One's got to be like that. It's like when you go on a bachelorette party and the bachelorette has all the stuff that she's got to do. She's got a checklist.
Yeah, and I like the different like ways it's going about. I'm like, how the fuck are they going to pull this one off? So
He's warning her
again,
about the
just
Wookiee already, which we know there's a Wookiee Jedi from the trailer. So he's like, "How are you even going to kill a Wookiee?" And it's like, "Oh shit, the Wookiee's on her list. We're going to see a Wookiee fight. Kind of cool."
and I'm like, fuck, we're going to see potentially a Wookiee Jedi die. That sucks.
Oh, they can't do that to us. The Wookiee Jedi's got to survive the show. Also, the Wookiee Jedi is played by the guy who played Chewbacca in the sequel trilogy. That guy, Eunice Sanamato, I think his name is. He's like the only guy that tall, and he knows how to do Wookiee mannerisms already. So they're like, "You're our Wookiee."
AJ asked me the other day, he had a little Chewbacca dog. He goes, Dad, how did they make Chewbacca like look like Chewbacca in the movies? I'm like, dude, they have a really tall guy and he wears a costume. He's like, whoa, that guy must be like taller than this tree right here. Like the wonderment of a child's imagination. So shout out, what's his name? UC?
I think his name is Eunice Tsunamato. He played college basketball, I'm pretty sure, or maybe like European basketball somewhere. He was a basketball player for sure.
Makes sense.
And shout
Now,
out, of course, Peter Mayhew, the OG.
and shout out our boy Bill Walton, who passed recently and was said was he offered Chewbacca? Did he say, or he
I
tried out
think
for
he said
Chewbacca?
something like that. Like he was in talks at least.
Yes, I'm like I don't know if he would have offered it. George might have liked it, Luke, but Luke, Bill, but that would have been a lot. But if you could choose one right now, two of them are about to die. You can only save one. Soul, Wookiee, Jedi.
Oh, see, this is so tough. I know and like Soul already. I know a little bit about him. I know nothing about this Wookiee Jedi, but I'm going with the Wookiee Jedi.
Now you're our enemy.
It
Now
just
you're my
feels
enemy,
like the
Bob.
bro. It feels like the sort of thing where like Rogue One watching K2SO die on screen was the saddest one. Maybe because he wasn't human. You're watching a robot die.
Yeah.
It's like you feel like even I don't want to say listen, Wookiees, don't come at me for this statement, but you kind of see your pet in a Wookiee, where it's like if you watch them die, it's like, I don't want to see that. I don't know if I've ever seen a Wookiee die on screen. I thought I was watching Chewbacca die in Rise of Skywalker for 2 minutes. That was bad. But I don't, that's just unnecessary. I don't want to see Ewoks die. The one in Return of the Jedi where his buddy's poking him with the
Oh, it's
stick and blows
terrible.
up. Like, I don't want to see a repeat of that.
That was so fucked up. They did it to us. Like it was almost worse not killing Chewbacca is fake killing him, making us like die in the theater ourselves, and then bringing him back. I just can't believe. I thought, okay. I thought we were on the same page with Saul. Clearly,
I
you're not
did
as
too
much of
till
a
you
Saul
cornered
guy.
me like that. Like, I feel like you cornered me on the edge of a cliff and like I fell off like OSHA, but you
And
didn't save me.
I thought we were diehards. Like Saul is my guy. He's my guy. I'm riding. Okay. Pip is everyone's guy. You're the droid, the cute droid is
Yeah.
everyone's guy. Like
Yeah.
I
He's
love
great.
Pip, 10 out of 10, just like no, 14 out of 10. That's how we rate our droids in Star
Yeah.
Wars. It's just like the good boys Twitter. But if you have a guy, I mean, we're gonna be doing it with House of the Dragon, so we're gonna have our guys back. Saul's my guy, and I'm guessing Wookiee Jedi's your guy.
I guess he is. His name's
Kessler,
Kelnecki, I think.
Kalnecki.
Yeah.
Okay.
Kelnecki's my guy. I'm okay with him being my guy, to be honest. I like a
You
Wookiee
better be
Jedi.
your
That
guy.
was one of the
You
first
don't.
questions I asked Kenjack too. I was like, please tell me the Wookiee Jedi isn't lame. And he was like, no. He's like, there's not a bunch of them, but he's not lame. I was like, all right, cool.
Bob, if it's your guy, you ride to fucking the fire of hell for that guy. So you
Yeah,
better
he's my
be
guy.
like, you don't have to
Kelnecki.
apologize. No, that's fine. I'm a Saul guy. all my people, just let me know if you're a Saul guy. I just want to know the Saul army is riding high. We're gonna have a Better Call Saul, like we'll
Oh,
have a
that's
whole twist.
good.
Yeah, we got a good thing going here, Bob.
That might be a
Two,
t-shirt.
you're not allowed into the Saul Club though. You're not
Okay.
allowed in.
Yeah. Um, OSHA shows Saul her new
Oh,
tattoo.
did you know what the name of his starfighter is?
Oh no, tell me, please.
The Soul Plane. That's a dad joke.
That's good. That's really good. That's really good. I like that. She shows him her new tattoo, which I thought was it's a very teen drama show conversation. And they have the back and forth of like, I wasn't a good student. No, I wasn't a good teacher. Later on, when I think it's she tries to use the force at some point, I think, and she like can't completely use the force, and she's trying to get Pip. Their dynamic and relationship, I gotta be honest, Sol and Osha is a little bit too much like Ahsoka and Sabine to me in the constant, well, maybe it was my teaching. Well, maybe it was
Mhm.
my being a student. And then you went off and you're not training to be a Jedi anymore. But we know by the end of this show, the big moment is going to be her finally tapping back into the Force and using it in a big moment. It feels like the Acolyte team should have talked to the Ahsoka team and said, oh, we have a very similar storyline with our young female character with purple hair. Maybe we should change it. You know, did you feel that? Did you like pick up on that at all?
I mean, I feel like it's that you know there was something that was like this feels like a trope of Star Wars at this point.
Yeah.
So maybe I was thinking of that. As a Soul guy, I'm like, it was Osha's fault. And listen, I really like Osha. Soul's my guy though, so I gotta ride with him. And it's like, no, it's all her fault.
So the Jedi arrive on Olega, and May begins her second attack on Torben, the meditating Jedi. And he's still meditating in the exact same position he was the last time she came in there. She tries to urge Torben into confessing and fixing the past. She's like, confess to the Jedi Temple, and I won't have to do this. And he's like, I've been waiting for you, May. He comes out of his meditation. He fucking does the shot willingly, and he's dead. He apologizes. He's like, I thought we were doing the right thing, which, ooh, the mystery unravels a little more. What was happening on that planet the night they died? Was it a situation where Osha was saved by Sol and the Jedi and she viewed them as the saviors? Did May view them as the people that burnt it down in the first place? Did she vilify them instantly? I don't know, but interesting scene. And then, of course, like Osha finds the body, and for a second, it's like, oh my God, you found the body? Did you kill? Oh my God. But thankfully, Yord was watching all along, which he should have fucking, when he walked in and saw her with the dead body, he should have just walked and been like, oh, I guess he's dead. He really like let it play out for dramatics.
Yeah, that was a little much. It felt a little much. I agree. I have to admit, like, and we've the Jedi, we do not think of them as flawless by any stretch on this show. We've made that perfectly clear. After that dude, guy's been meditating since like basically her sister, quote unquote, died. And he wakes up and it's like, I'm just gonna kill myself now that I saw you again. Sus. The
Bad,
Jedi
yeah.
are number one on the sus list. And listen, as a Soul guy, as the leader of the Soul fucking army right now, I have to admit that there's a chance things are going to look very bad for us down the road.
Yeah.
Our guy Soul might have been killing mothers,
I
children,
don't think
pets.
Soul
I
seems like he's in the dark about it. Maybe
I hope
Vernestra,
so.
maybe her.
Yord seems like Lord. He's like a
You're
lame,
too
like
young.
he's the prequel Jedi's too. He's so fucking annoying. He also could be a fucking Sith Lord for all I know too. Like I'm also have like my radar up by who's the Sith Lord we're dealing with here
Well,
too,
his
right?
hair's almost too cool to be a Jedi.
That's true.
He's
That's
almost got the Michael B. Jordan Black Panther hair where you're like, your hair's so cool, you got to be a villain.
yeah, exactly. It's like the checklist. It's like cool hair, sorry, dude.
Yeah, like, dude, those dreads, they look so sweet. Like, you just can't have those as a good guy. It's too cool. You got to shave it off and do a fucking little ponytail thing.
It's like
Or I
you
guess
could
no,
be
he
like
he's a knight now, so he doesn't need that.
you could be Jedi adjacent. You can't be an
Yeah. Also, he gives later on in the episode, he gives a I have a bad feeling about this line. Sounds so much like Ewan McGregor
I
when he says
missed
it.
that. I
Yeah,
missed that. Shit.
When OSHA, so in this moment they figure out the plan to send OSHA in as May to that Khmer guy in disguise to get a confession from him. Which again, this scene, we don't have this in Star Wars a lot. We're gonna send you in with a wire and get a confession out of you. But in a Star Wars murder mystery, it's like, oh shit, that really works. It makes sense to have a little break scene like this. And he has a good delivery too. And he's buying into it at first, but then gets real close to her and he goes, "You look just like her." It's like, oh, fuck. But the Jedi swarm and everything. That's when Yord gave his "I have a bad feeling about this" line. I think it's the actor that plays Yord was getting a lot of shit on Twitter this week for he had a line where he was like, "Well, how many people did Anakin kill when he blew up the Death Star?" Everyone was like, "Who? Who blew up the Death Star?" People
Did he
went
do that?
crazy. But it's like, bro,
Was it a
Alec Guinness
joke?
fucking no, he was serious. But do we expect
No,
everyone
yeah, you're
to
right. You're
know
right.
about stuff? Like Alec Guinness hated Star Wars, shit on it every opportunity he got until he made money, and then he was like, oh, I don't know, maybe they were good. Like plenty of people involved in Star Wars aren't diehard. I mean, how about Harrison Ford? They're like, hey, were you a Force ghost in Rise of Skywalker? He goes, I don't fucking know what a Force ghost is. It's like you don't need to be a diehard. I would like you to be. Like I like it more when the people are so invested and so in love with the story that they know everything about it. But like, come on, guys, we're gonna give this guy shit because he said Anakin blew up to the Death Star. You know he meant Luke. Come on.
I would be more. Yeah, no, I'm actually, I'm fine with it. I would be more. I get more worried when people who are like creatively in charge of it, directors and
Yes.
stuff, aren't fans. And we usually find out because usually they make steaming piles of shit. But if they make masterpieces and they're like, yeah, I don't know, man, I'm going to my next project. I just wanted to check. That's fine. I really don't care anymore. It's like just make good stuff. That's all I care about. We are not beg. We are beggars cannot be choosers when it comes to Star Wars, and we're the fucking Jawas just sorting through parts looking for some good
Yeah.
shows these days. And I'm very happy with what we found so far.
I'm not so sure that the team behind Andor are like diehard Star Wars fans. I'm pretty sure they were open about being like, yeah, we're not like referencing any of that shit because we don't really know much about it. We're just going to be in our corner of the galaxy doing like a political thriller. Sometimes that's what you need. Sometimes you need a set of eyes that aren't too far into the woods to see the trees.
And
So that
you
people
have a
giving him shit. Come
Filoni,
on.
you can have a
Yeah.
Filoni being like, all right, now we have to do this here, this here, this there, so that it makes sense for the whole world galaxy building. But other than that, yeah, like some, and I do, yeah, I definitely think there's a case we made that to have more of those outsider voices is better.
So Soul confronts May and Allie, and they start to fight without weapons. Another martial arts style fight. Very cool too, because you could see how much more powerful and strong with the Force Soul is right away. I wrote he's 10-8ing her. And for those that don't watch boxing or MMA, every round is scored 10-9. That's how you score. The winner gets a 10, the loser gets a 9, unless it was pretty dominant. And then you're like, I think it was a 10-8. Like, I'm pretty sure it was pretty heavily in Soul's favor. This one is a 10-8 for me. 10-8 round out in the alley. Good fight scene. Another one where some people have been shitting on Disney Plus fight choreography for looking slow. And there are definitely moments of it in Boba Fett, in Ahsoka. There's a moment here, there. It's not John Wick fast, but I don't find it too slow, especially in this scene. Like, I thought this was a cool fight scene the whole time. I was like, cool choreography, cool
It,
choreography.
it's cool. It's not too long, and I like seeing guys use the force. And you're gonna mix in some new powers or powers we know about, but use them in a different way. I think it's fucking. This is a fun show so far.
It is. Sorry, I just got a text and I was terrified that it was breaking McGregor
Uh-oh.
news. It's not. It's not. Poirier busted his ribs and tore his ACL after the fight from Makachev. So far, no McGregor news as we record this. It'll probably come out like the second we hit stop recording. Anyway, when May gets away with a very Batman smoke pellet, hits the ground, and everyone's like, "Where'd she go? Whoa, dust! What the
That
fuck?"
was weird, right? That was weird. I
Yeah,
was like, what the fuck's going on? Okay.
yeah.
That was just
Jedi need goggles or something so they can see through that. But when she gets away, she Grand Theft Autos a speeder pretty much. Get out of the front seat and hops in the driver's side. OSHA is like has a gun to her, set on stun, and she shoots, but I think she missed on purpose, right? That face that she made was almost like, I'm gonna let you get away because you're my sister and I can't believe you're alive. But they both had the internal struggle because also May thought OSHA was dead, which I didn't realize. I was under
yeah.
the impression the first two episodes that like, oh, May burnt down the house and she's evil. I'm sure she tried to kill OSHA and she's still out there somewhere. No, they both were like, oh my God, my twin sister's alive, and they were like delighted by that clearly.
Yeah. I think there's two things at play here. Either OSHA didn't want to shoot her sister, or this is OSHA revealing herself as a future stormtrooper. Because that was the worst. The stormtrooper shot like that all the time, and we just lived with being like, "Oh, that's a stormtrooper's aim."
Yeah.
It was a little bit of a. Have you seen League of Their Own?
Oh yeah, yeah.
When she
Softball movie.
drops the ball at the end.
Yep.
So it's like, did she do that on purpose, or didn't
There's
she?
no
So yeah.
crying in the Jedi Order. And then the episode ends with them going to Khmer and May going to Khmer and him being like, "Listen, I found the Wookiee Jedi. I can get you out there." We go to Kafar, and then you see Kelneki's house. Like there are people walking up on it, and they're like, "Oh, I'm sure we could get a power converter or something here." And then the Wookiee Jedi just walks up, and he's living his life on Kafar. I don't know why he's not on Kashyyyk with the rest of them. Maybe they just branch out.
I appreciate where it's like we don't just have the one Wookiee planet, we can
Yeah.
branch out. I appreciate that. I also appreciated that he's like, I'm gonna use the force to take your weapons, but I'm also gonna use the Wookiee brute strength to destroy them. I like
Yeah.
that we got both sides of the Wookiee Jedi. And listen, I'm a soul guy. I appreciate him. I'm not anti him. That's your guy, not mine.
Mhm.
So I'm very excited to see what he has up his sleeve for us.
I wonder what the dynamics of a Wookiee Jedi is as well. Like, how do the rest of the Wookiees view him? Are they like so proud, like, oh my God, I can't believe one of our own is a Jedi? Or are they kind of like, yeah, fucking know it all? Like, why aren't you with on Kashyyyk with the rest of us, like fighting our wars, our battles?
That is a very good question, Bob. I'm yeah, kind of interested to see how that all shakes. I hope we get like an answer to that.
I hope we get a lot more on Kelnecki, especially being he's my guy. Oh, question. What did you think of the High Republic Jedi robes? I saw some people saying they looked cheap. I actually liked them. They like the gold and white.
I like that it felt like a different time period. So like
Yeah,
that got me there. So I
agreed.
was like, they're cool with me.
And that almost like you said, it sometimes feels like a video game. Like my first exposure to different Star Wars time periods was like watching my brother play the Old Republic or watching someone play the Old Republic on YouTube or something like that, or playing it myself. That feels like that in that, when
Yeah.
you give everyone across the board a new wardrobe, new slate, new look, it feels video gamey. And I like that about it because some of my favorite Star Wars memories ever from Star Wars video games. So that is the first two episodes. Again, like we've talked about for the last hour plus, we were pro the Acolyte, at least through two episodes. We're pretty happy with what we're getting.
Well, I don't even know. I'm going to say cautiously optimistic because, again, there is
Yeah.
some parts of that trailer. I'm like, I feel like I'm not going to like that show as much as I like this show that we just watched. But yeah, cautiously optimistic. All you can ask for. I just looked it up. 8 episodes instead of 10. That's a good sign. And again, we don't have to go to 59 minutes. So we had like 44, I think a
I thought these were
30.
good length. Yeah, both of them
Yeah,
actually
perfect.
felt like when the credits hit, I was ready for them to hit, but it wasn't like, oh, I need more now or that was too long. Both episodes, that was one thing that I feel like we complain a lot about length, that either we need more or make it a little shorter for us. They nailed that. Yeah.
I think 35 is like my perfect spot that I found so far. So I think I hit skip 3 times in the intro too. Cause it's like you have the like Disney Plus commercial, you have the previously on, and then I didn't even watch the like how is the intro, like the theme or whatever. Is there
It's
really much
it's
to it?
No, it's just the title card. So
Okay.
it shows the Acolyte and then the O kind of goes like that, like a Venn diagram to, I think, because the twins or something like that.
I do think I'm going to say this until it finally happens. I hope we learn at some point like these twins are going to be like the Force, where it's like you have the good side with the Jedi, the other one
Yeah.
was raised by the Sith or whatever, and it's like the gray middle is kind of where life should be, and that's the way life kind of is.
I also like the Force connection stuff. Like I like when two people are linked with the Force, Luke and Leia obviously being the first two twins linked with the Force, but I really enjoy the concept of a Force dyad, which was introduced in the sequel trilogy. I know people don't like that. The idea that these two people are somehow linked through the Force, and if one gets stronger, the other's getting a little stronger, and they're just going to keep balancing and matching each other. I think that's a cool theory and concept in the Star Wars universe to happen a few times over the course of hundreds or thousands of years. If they're a version of that, I think it would be cool. My one concern is the guy in the mask who is like the acolyte kills dreams, whatever. He's going to have to be a reveal at some point, I think. And a lot of the Star Wars reveals of people in masks aren't always great. We got one in Ahsoka, and the reveal was that he was actually a fart the whole time. So it's like they bet. Remember that? You forget that? Remember when they stab him and he's just a
Oh
poof?
yeah,
He's a
yeah,
green
yeah.
fart.
That was
So like you said, cautiously optimistic because they have a lot of like unveiling to do where it's like we don't know what's behind the curtain, but something's already behind it, and we're gonna have to just be happy with whatever's behind it.
yeah. Hopefully, at least the murder mystery is good, even if the Star Wars
Yeah.
stuff kind of peters out, right?
Yeah. All right. That was the Acolyte episodes 1 and 2 recap. We'll be back for the Acolyte next week. House of the Dragon after that. Also, I just looked into the House of the Dragon premiere night. We're going to be flying to Chicago for the dozen. So we'll be together for that. We'll have to watch it in Chicago.
I know. I'm going out later because we have a bye.
You're going Monday?
Maybe Tuesday.
Okay, good.
Oh
I'm
yeah,
flying
no
out
Monday.
Sunday. I had to change my flight because I realized my flight was going to cut into Game of Thrones time, and I'm changing it now.
Perfect. So yeah, we'll be ready to rock. I don't even know. I don't think Kevin's in the tournament, is he? I know they went.
I
I
don't
think
think so.
winless.
No.
They went
Yeah,
winless. I don't think that's
that's
going to get
bad.
you in the tournament.
Yeah,
Uh,
consult.
yeah, console.
That was the Acolyte though. Hashtag for this week is White Boy Yoda. Hashtag White Boy Yoda. Clem is the White
Hashtag
Boy
White Boy
Yoda.
Yoda. Yes, White Boy Yoda. I am.